All right, so here we are with another Mego 50th anniversary unboxing. It's been way too long since I've been able to do one of these. But they've had the Joker and Reverse Flash at my local Walmart for a while now, but I just haven't had the money to pick one up. So I finally broke down and bought the Joker. I'll get Reverse Flash hopefully sometime soon. But they had one Joker left at one of the Walmart closest to my house, and they had one Joker left at the Walmart that's closest to my work. So when the Joker that we had at the Walmart closest to my house sold out, I was like, well, I better go ahead and get that one near my work, or I'm going to miss out on him entirely. So here we have a reproduction box. It's not an exact reproduction of the original Mego figure. For one thing, Mego never made Reverse Flash back in the old days, so he was not part of the cross sell artwork. Let's go ahead and have a look at the cross sell artwork. So we have the Riddler, we have Reverse Flash, we have the Penguin, and we have the Joker, who is the star of this video. Now, I have not seen the Penguin or the Riddler in person yet. Uh, so I'm keeping an eye out for those. I especially want the Penguin because I don't have a Mego Penguin currently. So I want to get another one. Uh, but I do have, and I busted them out just for this video. I do have the original Mego Joker, and he's a really cool figure. I made sure when I bought the vintage one, and this was a few years ago that I bought this one, I made sure that I got him on a Type 1 body because the Type 1 body is just slightly skinnier than the Type 2 body, and I felt like that was appropriate for the Joker. Plus, the Type 1s have those ugly wrists with the metal rivets on them, and they aren't as aesthetically pleasing as the wrists on the Type 2 bodies, but he's got this nice long jacket, so it covers it up just fine. So I really think some figures actually do work better on the Type 1 body, and the Joker is one of those. So we'll do some comparisons between the original Joker and the new Joker. So that should be fun. Uh, Going back to the packaging, we do have the little cutout picture of the Joker on the back. And the main difference, the thing that I mean, there's a few other differences, like the more modern DC logo, and it's got this Warner Brothers Batman symbol, trademark stamp on there, little things like that. Lots of little differences that we wouldn't have seen on the vintage box. But the most obvious thing, I think, is this Joker logo right here, which I don't believe actually existed when they first put out this toy, but I have to believe if it did, they would have used this logo anyway. So I don't really mind that they used this logo. I want to say this logo was created for the Joker's ongoing comic book series, which would have started like I think around 1976, and I believe that this figure was originally, the original Joker. This one would have been made in like 1974, so it would have been a couple of years before they would have had this logo. I suspect Neil Adams designed this. I don't know for certain. He definitely drew the Joker head that's in the middle of the O there, and it just seems like the kind of thing Neil Adams would have designed. I like it's got the suits of the playing cards inside these other later letters. There's a heart in the J, a club in the K, uh, uh, a spade in the E. Oh, I'm sorry, a diamond in the E and a spade in the R. So it's a really cool Joker logo. I really like it. I love like silver and bronze age comic book logos. I really miss them. Like they were doing like really cool comic book logos like on up into the 90s. And it wasn't I don't think necessarily like computer graphics that killed them off, because you still saw a lot of guys like Richard Starking and Todd Klein doing really cool stuff with digital lettering as far as creating logos. But I think that certain people got kind of lazy about it. Not those gentlemen, obviously, because they're awesome. But but you'd start to see where people would just like pick out some random font and that would be the logo, and it's like, you know, it didn't seem to have the kind of effort and artistry that logos of like the 90s and before would have had. Just my opinion. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on them. I can be harsh about certain things. We all know this. So I'm looking around for my X-Acto knife, and I think I took it into the kitchen with me because I was dealing with some kind of custom project, and I believe it's still in the kitchen because it's definitely not anywhere around here. So, but I do have a fork, and all I really want to do is puncture this piece of tape at the bottom. Now, the other 50th anniversary figures that I had did not have tape at the bottom, so that's something new. Maybe that was some kind of oversight, and they always meant to have tape at the bottom. So let's go ahead and we'll slide the little cardboard out of there. And oh, he's got those plastic tabs. And I really don't want to have to go into the kitchen and get my X-Acto knife. So I'm looking around to see if I've got anything else I can use. One of my other X-Acto knives, maybe, or I'm gonna have to go into the kitchen and get my X-Acto knife. So just bear with me. Coming right back. Just give me a minute. I'm still here. Somewhere around here, it's got to be. Okay, I'm coming back. Don't think I've abandoned you guys. I know you guys just love seeing video of my empty couch while I go to get something that I probably should have had before I even started shooting this video. I appreciate your patience. So, and let's go ahead and we will get these rubber tabs off of here. These are actually double tabbed. So I got not one, but two different rubber tabs. I guess they want to make sure he doesn't get away. And then one at his neck here, or two at his neck, because like I said, they're doubled up. Mego was like, those rubber tabs, they're just not annoying enough. We need to find a way to make them even more annoying. What if we had two rubber tabs on there? It's like the guy who decided to double up on the ads on YouTube made that decision. So, all right. So here we got the Joker out of the package, and he's kind of pigeon-toed because he does have the added articulation uh, at the ankles. The fabric does not seem to be the same type of fabric as the other DC figures that we've had so far. And that shouldn't really be surprising because it wasn't on the other 50th anniversary ones. I don't know if they actually make fabric like they made on the old Mego uniforms anymore. I don't know if it exists. So, yeah, and the stuff on the jacket, it seems slightly different. But it is the sort of thing I feel like that with a lot of these Mego kind of fabrics, it might not be the exact match to the type of fabric, but I think they got about as close as what actually exists these days. So you can tell just immediately which one is the new one and which one is the old one, because my old one, remember, the jacket is so faded, there's almost no purple left in it. It actually looks, I think, more purple on the camera than it does in my hand. So, and he's got the newer type of Mego shoes. that are the more like the ones like Doc Mego made. So, and they're a little slightly shinier. And also, I'm noticing, I was thinking maybe they just got shoved up in the package somehow, but no, his sleeves actually are a little bit shorter than these. So he's got almost kind of like a Frankenstein thing going on with his sleeves there. So the sleeves are just a tad too short. So that's unfortunate. Now I'm gonna take off his jacket because I want to. For one thing, I want to show something. But for another thing, I want to make sure I've got his elbows bent the right way when I try to bend them. I don't want to break his elbows. So, yep, there we go. And they are not too tight. They are, fairly snug joints, but not overly snug. So, but there was one other thing that I wanted to show off while I had him without his jacket, and you can see that the entire arm is white, which you might think, oh, well, that's the way the Joker is supposed to be. But remember, the original Mego Joker had a flesh colored body underneath his clothes. It was just the hands that were white. He has just regular Caucasian skin, so not the chalk white skin. So there we go. So now we've seen that. And of course, since it's the modern Mego, he has the Velcro closure instead of the classic Mego snap. Now, this does hold the back of the suit closed a lot better than the old Mego snap. Like if we pull up his jacket, you can probably see like there's a little bit of that skin poking through in the middle of his vest. You don't have that problem with this one. Now, of course, you're probably going to leave the Joker's coat on most of the time anyway, so who cares what color his arms are? Who cares if you can see his skin poking through the back of his vest? But at least now you know that it's not a thing. So very carefully, I'm going to try to bend his knees because I did have that issue with the knee on the Hatchet figure. If you want to go back and watch that tragic video, oh, it was so sad. But the knees don't seem to want to bend up all the way on this one. So that's about as far up as they bend. So I was hoping they would have fixed that problem, but apparently they have not yet. But you can go in with an X-Acto knife and cut a little bit of the plastic off the back of the knee, and that should help with that. So he does have the newer Mego style articulation. So let's go over that. Okay, he's got the head that rotates all the way around. That's something we're used to. By the way, the newer heads aren't squishy like the older Mego heads are, but my old Mego Joker has like a ridiculously squishy head, like way squishier than it's supposed to be. So it kind of evens out. We do have the elbow articulation, and it's a good range of articulation or good range of motion on the elbow there, a little bit more than 90 degrees. And of course, it rotates all the way around. Now, if you have to turn it that way, it doesn't go up all the way, but that's not a natural movement anyway. So why would you want it to do that? And of course, the wrists rotate all the way around, and they've got the standard Mego joint back and forth like that. His legs go up about that far. Knee bends about that far, so not quite 90 degrees. The knee does rotate all the way around, but I'm not going to rotate it while he's got his pants on. Uh, by the way, much like with the original Mego, the pants go all the way down to the bottom of the foot. There's no sock or anything printed on there, no spats. It's just like he's wearing, pinstripe tights because he is just wearing pinstripe tights. And he's got like a, little joint at the waist where you can turn it back and forth. I'm sure it turns all the way around, but again, I'm not going to take his shirt off. And then a little bit of back and forth, a little bit of forwards and sideways, so you can get a good range of motion out of the Joker's articulation. So they did a good job with that. Now, let me put his jacket back on. I do wish that the sleeves were a little longer because the sleeves are a little short. But I don't think it's that big a deal with this version of the Joker as it would have been if Mego had done it back in the day. It would have been bad because remember how I was talking about how those long sleeves help to hide the rivets at the wrists and obviously help to hide the Caucasian arms, whereas like the Joker's skin should be all chalk white. Now that I got the jacket back on him, it seems like it's pulling down a little bit, but that's because I don't have the jacket on all the way at the back. So if I pull it up a little bit more, then that'll pull the sleeves up a little bit more on his arms. But if you want to try to make the sleeves a little bit longer, that's a way you can do that, is to pull his jacket down a little bit in the back, and that'll give you a little more length in the sleeves. And it's not all that noticeable if you're just looking at them from the front. It's still kind of noticeable, but if you want to pull it up all the way, it's going to wind up messing around with the sleeves. But like I said, it's not as bad of a thing as it would be if it were on. If I were to switch their jackets, this jacket would look terrible on this Joker, but it looks okay on this Joker. And like, so if, like, say you have a jacket that's faded like this, I would not recommend buying this Joker to replace that jacket. You'd probably be better off just trying to find another vintage Mego Joker jacket. I think that would be the thing. Now, something that I'm going to point out, and this is not a criticism, and I don't think it's based on anything that was done intentionally, but it's more just sort of the thing where, like, subtle differences in your paint applications can cause some major differences. And that's if we look at the two different Jokers here, and maybe it's just my eyes playing tricks on me. I think that the vintage version looks just slightly more sinister than the newer version. His eyes are just kind of like a little more crinked up. He's a little more Jack Nicholson. You know what I mean? So so yeah, this one looks like just ever so slightly a little more jolly than the original one. I'll also point out that at least unless they changed it at some point after I got mine, because like I said, this is a Type 1, so it's early. Maybe the Type 2s are more like this with the bodysuit. You can see that there are some differences with the way that the tie is drawn and the way that the vest is drawn. Like, see how the lapel on the vest kind of swoops down a little bit more on this one, whereas on this one it kind of swoops up. Sorry, I'm backwards. So, but and the tie, I think a little more care was put into this one than this one. And interestingly enough, if you compare it to the artwork on the back, you can see how they were very much basing this Joker figure off of this particular drawing of the Joker. Like, even the way that his tie kind of falls, and there's that extra little stray line there to the side. You see what I'm talking about? So whoever drew the pattern for the Mego Joker bodysuit, they were definitely basing it off of that Carmine Infantino drawing. So I'm glad I picked this one up, because it's definitely worth getting into for doing a video on it and getting into some of the differences between the two different versions of the Joker. And while I think most people would probably be okay with buying this one to have as a replacement, like, it is a lot different from the original one in a lot of ways. One other thing I've noticed is there's no hemming on the tails. So that's just plain fabric that's been cut there. Now, this fabric reminds me a lot of the fabric that was used on Superpowers capes in the 1980s. And those tend to not fray as much as a lot of the nylon, like Mego like to use. So I wouldn't be so worried about the fraying as I would with like the capes or whatever. But you can see that the vintage figure actually did hem up the tails on the coat. So I'm guessing that was probably it. Maybe it was an accidental oversight, or maybe it was something that was done as a cost cutting measure. I don't know. But I'm glad I picked up the new Joker. I think he turned out pretty well. The colors look really nice on him, where they're just bright and shiny and they really pop. And especially because, like, my old Joker, he's gotten kind of dingy, and you can see there's like a couple of stains on his shirt right next to the lapel, and his jacket's kind of faded into, like I said, being almost gray. But yeah, this one looks kind of like well, he is minty. I just took him out of the package, But what I imagine this guy would have looked like when he was minty and off the card back in the 70s. So yeah, I need to get one more, and then I'll have the three Jokers, won't I? That story was kind of disappointing to me. Like, I enjoyed reading that comic just because I love Jason Fabok's artwork so much, and there were some nice moments to it. But I think the thing that made the three Jokers not work for me as well was that whole three Jokers gimmick. Like that just didn't really do anything to for me, and I just kind of thought that was kind of pointless in the end. But there was some stuff that I liked about that series, so it was still worth reading. But I think it could have been better. I think if they were going to do a three Jokers kind of concept, they could have done it in such a way where it would have been a little more, well, a little less pointless, had a little bit more of a point to it. I'll put it that way. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff down below. Hopefully, I'll be able to pick up Reverse Flash sometime soon, and then I can do one more of these because I feel like it's been too long since I've done a Mego unboxing, and I do love Megos. Like, there's something about them that's just so classic. You know, they're fun toys to collect. Anyway, we'll talk to you next time. Bye.